Good day, people. Um, I just thought I'd do a little report back on the FPI's Professional Convention that I attended last week, and I found absolutely excellent. The MC, Pulani Sukepe, was fun, kept the thing moving, kept it light, which was very much the tone, if I were to say, of the convention. The first day was a little light on technical stuff, but quite strong on soft skills, where the second day was much stronger on technical stuff, but also had some incredibly good motivational speakers. One of the first things that I really enjoyed was a panel discussion on the psychology of financial planning and the importance that we need to now ensure that with the advent of AI and technology into our industry, to make sure that financial planners remain relevant is that they look after the people. They look after the people things, look after their focus on the psychology of your client, what state of mind they're in, where they come from, if they're a different sex to you, to try and understand their perspective, because their perspective will be different to yours, at different race, different cultures, and also different social styles, which is something I've been involved with for a long time. And I really think that it is a valuable tool in financial planning. The panel was great. They really discussed this from all different angles. Then they had Paul Grimes on talking about financial planning standards. He was from the Global Financial Standards Board, and he was at the FATF meeting, and he gave us some feedback from that and on the importance of global standards for our industry. Uh, then, in fact, it's sort of thanks to her that I'm trying this process out. Kate Brandon uh, did a talk on the use of video uh, as a communication tool. And in fact, I found that absolutely thrilling, interesting, relevant to what I'm doing as a online training provider in the financial services industry. And a big thank you to her. I'm trying to apply some of her ideas and comments. Then the day ended off with, I'm going to get her name, Captain Londi Nkobo. And she was the first black dredger captain to ever be appointed in South Africa. And she wasn't just black, she was a black female. She talked about her time as a cadet and living the life in that very male dominated, tough world of being at sea. Both my fathers, my stepfather and my father, were officers at sea, so it rang a lot of bells with me and brought back a lot of memories. And I found her. It was a wonderful end of the first day. The second day started with something I was really looking forward to, a guy by the name of David Malapo. Now, David was a motivational speaker that I saw back in the 90s. He came to speak to our uh, board of the bank, NBS, that I worked for, about the need to integrate and what was happening in the new South Africa and how organizations can fit into this new South Africa. And in fact, you have these speeches or these speakers that you see every now and again that change your life. I was very privileged to be there because I wasn't on the board of NBS, but I was the guy that knew how to work the technology in the auditorium, and that's why I got to see him. And his talk at that time was one of the events which, in fact, changed my life completely. So to see him again, all these years later, was a thrill. He was better, funnier, cleverer, and more motivational than I can remember. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just the perfect start to the program. Then James Farber spoke about the new world of work that we're in now, and the concept of digital assets and digital wills. This was a lot more technical, but very, very useful because there are people now that are owning digital assets. They own websites and they own, and there's stuff on that. And how do you actually pass that on? Can it be passed on? There's certain digital assets that you don't actually buy, but essentially rent for your lifetime, so you can't pass those on. And then he talked about some of the case law that had happened recently on digital wills, which was very, very interesting. One that really excited me was Anne Cabot Altshazer. She's an investment specialist. She's been with a number of major companies here. She's at Gibbs at the moment lecturing on investments. And she talked about investing for impact. Her talk was very technical. She's an incredibly technical lady. And I must be honest, it stretched me quite a bit. I found there were times when I was sort of having to Google a little bit and check some of the terminology she was using to say, do I really understand what she's talking about? But it was insightful, interesting, and dynamic. And it was set off with the talk previously by David Lepage, where he was talking about ethical investing. So she was talking about investing and the process of investing for the best, how to try and see the best in an investment for the future to be able to choose the right one for your client. David Lepage was talking about being an ethical investor and investment managers that are now investing ethically, because this is becoming a demand of people, to stop investing in oil, in coal, and things like this. And but of course, what that does to the cost of or the return of that investment portfolio. So it was an interesting juxtaposition, have the two of them together, and it gave me a lot to think about. Then Rob McDonald spoke about the new world of work, how technology has been changing everything, how COVID pushed us into a different world, and probably we will never come back completely. And that financial planners who are not taking advantage and taking note of this are going to probably be a bit short. A little later on, they had Fazana Badat. She is the FSCA's deputy director. And she was one of the few that were here because her boss and the other directors were all at the FATF meeting in North Africa discussing various things. And she then gave us some feedback. And what was quite interesting with her is she broke a lot of news. For example, she told us about the change that was made to phase recently. There were some FATF comments that could result in South Africa being downgraded by FATF as a grey economy. In other words, we're not rife with money laundering, but we're not as controlling of money laundering. And one of the things that they had complained about, apart from some banking stuff, which was being addressed at this meeting in North Africa, was our use of crypto. Well, not use of crypto, the FSCA had no involvement with crypto. If you were dealing with Bitcoin and the other cryptocurrencies and you were buying and selling them, you were sort of outside of the FSCA's. It was not considered a financial services product. And the fact that literally the day before the conference, the law had been changed and a new notice had come out, which in fact had said that crypto is now a financial service product, and that as they always do, there's a time lag before it actually is implemented, but people who are selling and dealing and advising on crypto will have to be fit and proper, will have to be registered with the FSCA. They will create a new subcategory for crypto, and this will start from June to December in 2023. So during that period is when people will have to start getting registered, and then this area will in fact be regulated, which I found thrilling and a little scary, because a lot of people who are talking about crypto, and a lot of those people out there that are in fact advising and selling crypto to their clients, don't really know what it's all about. And I've been being on a little process at the moment of educating myself, and it is an incredibly complex area. And one of the questions I keep asking is, what do I look for in the economy or in the world that's going to tell me that cryptocurrencies are going to either go up or down, because they seem to almost work within a different sphere. And I think that's one of the questions that we're going to have to be able to answer as financial advisors if we're going to give advice on this. They ended off with an incredible thing. Kingsley Holgate is someone I've known about for years. He's that African adventurer who goes adventuring all over Africa. He does a lot of good in that he doesn't just adventure, he raises money for charity. He takes mosquito nets to try and help to reduce malaria. And on this last few trips, he's in fact been taking reading glasses up and giving them out to people, and told a very touching and moving story with some video of a bead worker who couldn't read, but she had got old, her eyes had got bad, and she could no longer actually do the beadwork. And when he showed those glasses going onto her, the look on her face when she could actually start putting those small beads onto a thread to in fact do beadwork, and the way her face lit up, I must be honest, I was a little bit of a wreck at that point in time emotionally. It was beautiful. And his incredible love for what he calls Mama Africa gave me a thrill. So that was my little 10-minute look at the last 2 days, and I loved it, and I'm definitely thinking about going to the next one.